Hello and welcome. This is TVC News at 10. We'll begin with security concerns as the Department of State Services uncovered a plot by suspected criminal gangs to attack worship and relaxation centers in part of the country with improvised explosive devices. A statement by the Public Relations Officer, Peter Afunanya, alerted Nigerians, stating that the DSS has received reports on cases of such incidents in some areas. He also explained that the objective is to launch further attacks on critical infrastructure and other public places frequently visited. Mr. Afunanya warned managers and owners of worship and relaxation centers to be cautious and implement basic security measures to deter the threat. The DSS assured that although these plans are aimed at putting fear in the mind of Nigerians, its officials will continue to disrupt the trend and pattern of violent attacks. Suspected terrorists have released pictures of some kidnapped victims believed to be persons abducted during the train attack incident last month. In the first photograph, at least 17 men could be identified. In the second photo, at least 18 women could be seen together with 5 children. This is the third time in 4 weeks the terrorists would release pictures or videos of their captives. The kidnapped victims have now spent at least 29 days in an unknown location with their captors, despite repeated calls on the government and security agencies to secure their freedom. The latest pictures come barely a month after the government confirmed that at least 8 people died, 26 others sustained injuries, while an unspecified number of persons were abducted during the deadly attack. So talking security, police in Zamfara have described the killing of a popular vigilante commander, Dan Mudi Mada, and 6 other members of the group by armed bandits as a reprisal attack. They also say the attack on Magazu community that led to the abduction of 24 persons on Monday night was as a result of the killing of a 15-year-old cattle rearer by the locals. Theophilos Darufai reports.
Mada is a community in Gusau local government area of Zamfara state. The community was attacked by armed bandits Sunday night, and 7 persons were killed, including a popular vigilante group leader, Damudi Mada. The attack has been described by the police as a reprisal after the local vigilante group attacked bandits' hideouts in the area. Speaking to TVC News crew, spokesperson of the Zamfara Police Command says those killed were members of the local vigilante group keeping watch on their community. He says they were ambushed by the bandits.
4 were killed during the ambush. 3 were kidnapped by the bandits, and then thereafter they killed them while in captivity. So the police and the military, like I said, are receiving the information, swung into action.
The police also confirmed the attack and abduction of persons in Magazu community. It was also as a result of the killing of a 15-year-old cattle rearer by the locals.
There was an abduction in that Magazu, and a preliminary investigation revealed that the incident was a reprisal one, following the killing of a Fulani boy some days ago. And that was why the community was attacked.
Police authorities in Zamfara says joint security operatives had on Tuesday morning repelled bandits' attack on Gora community in Bakura local government area and Ruambaure in Gusau local government area. Incessant attacks and kidnapping for ransom has forced many villages to set up vigilante groups to protect their communities from attacks by bandits. But it seems the development has worsened security challenges, giving rise to reprisal killings between the bandits and the locals. Theophilos Darufai, TVC News, Gusau.
In Lagos, the police command has promised to bring to book the police officer who allegedly shot indiscriminately and killed 2 persons at a party. The officer is said to be on the run after Sunday's incident. Senior correspondent Ivy Kano reports.
This is Chikere Obiechi, popularly known as JB, and Igwe Odinaka, 2 businessmen united by fate. Sunday the 24th of April started like every other day for them, not knowing that disaster lurks at their doorstep. They were invited to a friend's birthday party at a bar in Idimo. As they partied, out of the blues, gunshots rained, and the once bubbly party turned gloomy. This left 2 people dead and 1 seriously wounded. A visit to the scene on Tuesday showed a deserted bar.
We are here at Computer Village. We are trying to get to speak with the management of this market to find out what they intend to do about this sad incident.
At Computer Village, where the 2 felled by the bullets had shops, a representative of the market, while taking us round, described their death as unfortunate.
They are very nice people. Mr. Chikere, that's JB, popularly known as JB, is a very wonderful human being that you can never fault him for anything. And very peaceful, very down to earth, and very helpful to everybody in this market. We miss 2 of them as our members.
He called on the police to investigate what really happened.
The market is asking for justice for our member, for the government to also ensure that most of these police people don't go for illegal duties again, because I understand that was not an official duty from the policeman, and that the policeman should be apprehended.
Meanwhile, police say efforts are in top gear to arrest the fleeing police officer. They stress that the police officer attended the party based on his relationship with the celebrant. As the search continues, the celebrant is also on the run as at the time of filing this report. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
Away from security matters, a federal high court has ordered the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Danladi Omar, to appear before the Senate for probe on allegations of misconduct brought against him in a public petition. The court dismissed Mr. Omar's suits instituted against the Senate and others seeking to stop them from investigating him over actions he took at Banex Plaza in Abuja on the 29th of March 2021. Judiciary correspondent Celestine Area reports.
Justice Iyang Eko, in a judgment, held that the case of the CCT chairman lacked merit and there was no cogent reason to stop the Senate from undertaking its constitutional functions. He sought interpretation of Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution by the court and for the court to give him protection or refuge. But the court insists that a public officer administering law relating to conduct for public officers, Mr. Maro has no reason to institute a suit stopping the Senate from investigating a public petition seeking justice on moral standards. Furthermore, the Code of Conduct Bureau and the Code of Conduct Tribunal are established by an Act of the National Assembly 2010, and as such, he is subject to investigation by the National Assembly. The court in its findings also held that Section 2 of the Code of Conduct Bureau Act exposes Mr. Maro to be investigated by the National Assembly more than any other Nigerian, and it would be illogical for him to stop the probe, as doing so would give an impression that he is above the law. The court held that the declarative relief sought by Mr. Maro for an injunction against the Senate cannot be granted because his case lacked merit.
But what the court has done is to, embark on a voyage, go into the Code of Conduct Act, and that is, an inferior law compared to the Constitution. The provision of Section 88 is very, very clear that the purpose of investigation is to expose corruption. Okay? It is for the purpose of making law and exposure of corruption. But what the court has done is interpreting something that is not before the court. Well,
on 29 March 2021, a video of Mr. Maro allegedly assaulting a security guard at Banex Plaza in Abuja made rounds on social media. The former head of press and public relations of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, in a press statement on the incident, denied the allegation, insisting that it was Mr. Maro that was assaulted by a group he referred to as Biafran Boys. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's turn our attention to the National Assembly, where legislative activities failed to resume at the House of Representatives after a 2-week Easter break. While the Senate resumed, the doors to the chambers of the House of Representatives remained locked, with the sergeant at arms nowhere in sight. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
A test statement on Monday indicated the representative lawmakers will not be sitting due to ongoing renovation of the complex. The renovation exercise was in response to the embarrassing situation which occurs in the complex, especially during the rainy season. The construction company to carry out renovation work on the complex had indicated it required 16 months, and the National Assembly management arranged that both chambers use committee rooms to conduct plenary. But while the 109 membership strength of the Senate is relatively manageable, that of the House, comprising 360 members, is not. Apart from the renovation exercise, which has yet to commence, the House lost one of its members over the Easter break. Inse Ekpayong, until his death on Saturday, represented Oron Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. The House of Representatives wing was practically deserted on Tuesday, with no member in sight. Several calls put across to many of the lawmakers were not answered, and the leadership is also yet to indicate when the doors of the chambers would be thrown open. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, let's talk politics now. Some aspirants for the Rivers State governorship election on the platform of the All Progressives Congress APC have raised the alarm over alleged plans to impose a candidate on the party. The controversy is over a consensus arrangement that led to the selection of one aspirant as a preferred flag bearer of the party. Senior reporter Uche Okoro has details.
Some members of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State are concerned that the party has not learned lessons from the 2015 election which it lost and that of 2019 which it was disqualified from participating in. Aspirants like Senator Magnus Abe identified the problem as the APC's flawed process for selecting a candidate. Addressing his supporters in Okrika local government area, he insisted on contesting the primaries. For other leaders, the party must guard against fielding an unpopular candidate to forestall further crisis.
I will present myself to Rivers people. If Rivers people say that they don't want me and they want another partner, I will respect their decision. Because you have to choose the partner you know, the one that can help you, the one who understands you, the one who knows you is the one you should choose.
Once you use the right material, you will build and it will stand in Jesus' name. Amen. Let us not make any mistake about it. If I see my hand in my ear, if there is no magnet in APC, there will be no APC this time around.
At least 3 aspirants have indicated that they are still in the race to clinch the APC ticket. But there can only be one winner who needs the support of the entire party to succeed on the ballot. And so the challenge for the APC is for a candidate to emerge through a process that is accepted by all stakeholders.
For APC to succeed in this state, we must have a clear, transparent and honest process by which everybody who is entitled to have a say will genuinely have a say.
I heard from the bed that somebody have been adopted on the other side of the divide. May I ask, what is the electoral value? Zero. What is Magnus' value? 100%. We want to tell them they don't have electoral value.
The Rivers State chapter of the APC for its part says it has not chosen any consensus candidate and that all aspirants should be given equal opportunity to contest the party primaries. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Okrika.
Candidate of Accord Party in the Osun State governorship election, Akin Ogunbiyi, has promised to ensure effective collaboration that will bring about needed developments in the state if elected. Akin Ogunbiyi was speaking at his official declaration as the governorship candidate of the party in Oshibajo. Our correspondent Rafiu Hamid reports.
Here are members of the Accord Party from different parts of the state at the Nelson Mandela Freedom Park in Oshibajo. They are here to witness the official handing over of the party's flag to the Osun State governorship candidate, Akin Ogunbiyi, ahead of July 16 governorship election.
What party is the party to be? In the next election in July, I would encourage all of us here to go actively. I believe by now we all have our PVCs and thumbprint for the first party on the ballot paper, which is Accord Party.
In his acceptance speech, Akin Ogunbiyi says he is well equipped for the task ahead.
I'm also sufficiently equipped with the much needed skill, vision, capacity, character, and competence to transform the state excellently as your next governor. This is a solemn vow I'm making to you. Today, I will definitely deliver excellently.
He wants the electorate to shun money-back politicians and vote for their conscience on the election day.
Let us say no unequivocally to money mongers. We cannot continue to shield those who have nothing to offer. It is only character that defines us. Also accountability, transparency, decency, honesty, and fairness. We cannot continue to shield dropouts, unserious-minded people, novices, and those that lack value-adding leadership experience.
Other members of the party who spoke at the event believe that with the support of the people, Accord Party will take over governance in the states.
Akin Ogunbiyi was one of the governorship aspirants of the PDP before he resigned his membership in March and joined Accord Party. He promised to turn things around if given the opportunity to govern the states. Rafiu Hamid, TVC News.
Further matters now. Following the seasonal climate prediction by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, the National Emergency Management Agency has called an interagency meeting of experts to analyze these predictions. This, according to NEMA, is to enable it to create the needed public awareness to mitigate disasters and maximize the predictions for economic growth where necessary. Moyo Thomas reports.
Nigeria is taking seriously its early warning system as part of efforts to strengthen its disaster resilience. This is because of the prominent role weather and climate plays not only in farming decisions, but also in causing untold devastation. This is a two-day experts technical workshop on disaster risk management organized by the National Emergency Management Agency. It is considering the implication of the climate predictions by Nigerian Meteorological Agency. The 2022 seasonal climate predictions indicate rainfall amount will be normal, but some states and communities in Kwara, Kebbi, Calabar, and other areas are already recording floods and other forms of natural disasters.
Our action is to look at the climate services information, to interpret them, to disseminate them, and to improve the capacity of responsible authorities and communities at risk to be able to understand these warnings and be able to work on them.
Okay.
And we cannot really afford to keep going like this. It's really unfortunate we're trying to mitigate the disasters occurring by the day. What this workshop aims to do is to at least prepare our minds on the early warning systems the country is trying to put in place and how we could be able to reduce most of these disasters that occur by the day. Instead of having to say we will manage the disasters, then we are now trying to see how we could even take early warning systems and try to see how we could reduce the occurrences of these disasters.
The DG says these messages will be ready in a couple of days and the awareness will commence immediately. Beyond awareness creation on the early warning systems, Nigeria also needs more structures in place to reduce vulnerabilities of people affected by floods and other disasters. Insecurity has negatively affected food security and caused other economic situations in the country that it is important to ensure flood and other climate action does not further compound this. Moya Thomas, TVC News, Abuja.
Talking health now, more than 8 million children have received seasonal malaria treatment between 2017 and 2021 in Borno State. The State Commissioner for Health, Juliana Beatrice, made this known at a media briefing in Maiduguri. TVC News' Jesse Tafida reports.
An estimated 1.8 million people have been displaced in Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, due to activities of Boko Haram. This resulted to a huge gap in access to healthcare facilities in the state. Yet, improving access to healthcare in Borno has remained one of the top priorities of the Zulum administration. And now, the State Commissioner for Health, Juliana Beatrice, briefs the press on the progress made by the state government. Borno State has concluded plans to access a 5-year World Bank immunization plan and malaria coverage and transformation services impact project to reduce the incidence of malaria amongst pregnant women and children.
It is heartwarming to know that Borno is one of the only 4 out of 18 states that have achieved 100% state of preparedness for the project commencement. This is due to the support and commitment from the government, especially payment of the counterpart fund. We are the only state that has implemented indoor residual spray. We have also witnessed an uninterrupted supply of anti-malaria commodities.
The World Health Organization commends the state government for a procurement of a large quantum of anti-malaria drugs, expressing commitment to support the state government to end the disease.
This has been a combined effort from your leadership and the government support, partner support, international and national partners, including the communities, with some precise activities that have been done, including the seasonal malaria campaigns, but also use of the insecticides treated.
With support of WHO, the Borno State government worked hard to tackle cholera and officially close the cholera response in the state. It also promises to support partners to reduce the malaria burden and accelerate efforts to achieve a malaria-free state. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.
Away from health now, the Nigeria Customs Service in Katsina State has commenced another round of talks with border communities to guide traders and locals on ways to take advantage of the border reopening by the federal government. The Customs headquarters had issued a statement on the 22nd of April ordering the reopening of 4 additional land borders after 2 years of closure. TVC News correspondent Abdulatif Yusuf reports.
It is a moment for the people of Jibia local government area to celebrate, having endured the closure of their border and extensive drills for 2 years. Jibia border is one of the biggest land borders in the northwestern zone and is known to be among the most difficult borders to man due to the multiple trans-border trades that takes place here. It is the major route for smuggling of rice and other food items and a lot of textile materials. Despite the border closure, drill operations in the period under review resulted in the seizure of items worth over 8 billion naira and the interception of money spent for supply of arms and illicit drugs.
We have done a lot in interdicting the supply of these weapons. And you might ask, how have we done this? Large amounts of currencies have been interdicted. And these are pointers that such monies could have been used for the purchase of weapons. And I tell you, as it stands now, the number of arrests of large currencies crossing the border has reduced.
The border communities are highly optimistic that With the reopening of the border, they will be given a free hand to trade across the borders, and there will be an opportunity to revive their livelihood.
We usually sensitize people about the do's and the don'ts of the border. So this time around too, we are going to embark on this sensitization campaign with a view to making the community understand their limit.
We need to enlighten our trading public that although the borders are open, it is not a guarantee, or it shouldn't serve as a license for us to engage in illegitimate trade, because the border closure era has straightened out the rules and made the rules clearer. So
Customs are going a step further to educate the people on the list of prohibited items and the need for strict compliance to trade laws. Regular public enlightenment on the economic policies of the federal government and robust ICT deployment and border patrol will be a key factor in winning the war against smuggling in the country. Abdulatif Yusuf, TVC News, Katsina.
There'll be more stories in just a moment. Stay with TVC News. Welcome back. Former Governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has joined other Muslims to perform Umrah, the Lesser Hajj, in Saudi Arabia. The All Progressives Congress presidential aspirant concluded his prayers at the Prophet Muhammad's Mosque in Medina and headed to the Grand Mosque in Makkah for Tawaf on Tuesday. He was accompanied by the former APC presidential candidate, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, and others. Still in Saudi Arabia, Muslims are performing Umrah, the lesser pilgrimage, which involves paying a visit to the holy Kaaba in Mecca. This year, the Kaaba is fuller than usual. Senior correspondent Adidoja Salamadini finds out why every Muslim wishes to be in Mecca during the month of Ramadan. And after that, we'll have business news.
With Saudi Arabia opening the two holy mosques for foreign visitors in this Ramadan, Umrah seekers filled the Grand Mosque in Mecca and the Prophet's Mosque in Medina 2 years after they were temporarily shut due to COVID-19 pandemic.
After the pandemic, it's very surprising seeing this kind of crowd this year. We're looking at it, it's almost 6 million to 7 million for this Umrah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is very fantastic.
The performance of Umrah in the holy month of Ramadan makes the practice equivalent to Hajj. But Umrah cannot exempt one from the duty to perform Hajj, which is compulsory for every Muslim if the person is capable of performing it.
Everybody is eager to come here and pray. And as you see, it's the last day, last 10 days in the month of Ramadan, which is very significant with prayers. So that's why we are here. Many people from various countries, we all gathered here to offer prayers to Almighty Allah. So and we are also here, most Nigerians are also here. On our own part, we are here praying for our nation, praying for our state, and praying for our various local governments in the state.
Prophet Muhammad says in his traditions that whoever performs Umrah during Ramadan is like performing 70 Hajj rites, in the pillars of Islam, which now the Muslim community now decided, or the Muslim Ummah, they decided that performing Umrah during Ramadan is essential for them because of the reward that is encompasses in it.
Performing Umrah involves 4 important steps, which includes Ihram, wearing of white clothes, Tawaf around the Kaaba, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Say, that is running between Mount Safa and Marwa, and cutting of hair. Meanwhile, about 1 million pilgrims around the world are expected to perform the 2022 Hajj, which comes in July. Umrah offers an opportunity to refresh one's faith, seek repentance, and strengthen connection with Allah. Circumambulating or walking around the Kaaba like this has been happening for centuries. Faithful converged with a heart full of praise and seek the goodness of this world and hereafter from the Almighty. Adidoja Salamadini, TVC News, Mecca.
Well, in business, the African Development Bank has developed a $1.5 billion Africa Emergency Food Plan, which is now before the bank's board for approval. The president of the bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says this is part of efforts to avert a looming food crisis on the continent caused by the looming food crisis and protracted war between Russia and Ukraine. He briefed President Muhammadu Buhari at a private meeting in presidential villa that the Russia-Ukraine war would create global problems, and particularly for Africa, which imports a huge percentage of food from the two countries. He says already the price of wheat has gone up about 60%. Maize and other grains will also be affected, adding that there may be fertilizer crisis, as there would be about 2 million metric tons deficit. President Buhari thanked the leadership of the bank for being proactive and for supporting smallholder farmers in the country to cultivate wheat, maize, rice, sorghum, and soybeans to mitigate the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo says government is committed to scaling up its diversification drive against the backdrop of the Export for Survival campaign. He made this known during the National Conference on Non-Oil Exports with the theme Exports for Survival, Optimizing Nigeria's Non-Oil Export Potentials. Lara Folayan reports.
A conference on non-oil export, the first of its kind in Nigeria. The motive behind this gathering is to dialogue on issues confronting the growth of non-oil export in Nigeria. This is with a view of finding lasting solutions. The Vice President says government understands the urgency of the times with regards to taking non-oil export more seriously.
We are determined to enhance the competitiveness of our businesses within what is poised to become one of the largest regional single markets in the world. And this is why our Export Development Fund, under the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, has committed 50 billion naira to help position the export-oriented Nigerian businesses.
The Nigerian Export Promotion Council hopes the talks at the conference will help scale up successes already recorded in areas of its existing interventions.
I'm, however, of the firm belief that this conference will serve as a platform for stakeholders to ventilate ideas and viewpoints on current and emerging issues affecting non-oil export, as well as articulate a harmonized position for achieving a sustainable non-oil export performance.
There is emphasis on value addition in attaining the country's non-oil export target, amid gains already seen as non-oil income now accounts for most of the country's revenue generation.
The federal government is deeply committed to diversifying the Nigerian economy with a view to stimulating the manufacturing sector and scaling up local production of made in Nigeria goods and services.
The ministry is actively implementing the National Quality Policy, which is meant to guide Nigeria as a country to build a sustainable quality infrastructure in order to make our products competitive in both the domestic and international markets.
Areas of concentration at this forum include innovative solutions, trade facilitation, financing, non-oil export value chains, sustainable markets, as well as strategic partnerships.
This conference is coming on the heels of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council's launch of an Export for Survival campaign, which aims at creating more awareness on the importance of embracing non-oil exports as a critical part of the country's diversification drive and a means of earning more foreign exchange. Lara Folayan, TVC News, Abuja.
The power sector went in its efforts aimed at accelerating installation of meters under the Meter Asset Providers Scheme. Ikeja Electric PLC says it is set to offer willing customers a one-day metering initiative where they can complete their Know Your Customer information and get metered within 24 hours. Speaking at the commencement of the first phase of the exercise at the Shomolu Business Unit of the company, the head of corporate communications, Mr. Felix Ufule, explains that the program, which has been done in collaboration with Mojek International Limited, will serve as a platform for customers who want to make payments to ensure that their premises are metered as soon as possible. He, however, advised customers to take advantage of the initiative Get Metered, as this will put an end to estimated billings and other electricity supply issues they are faced with. Meanwhile, the group managing director, Mujek International, Ms. Chantel Abdul, posited that the mobile app map scheme is aimed at bringing the metering process closer to people's doorsteps.
The Meter Asset Provider Program is unique in itself because it enables customers who can afford to pay for a meter and may not want to wait for the free metering program, but says, you know what, I can afford to pay for it, I want my meter immediately. It affords them that opportunity to get the meter quickly. We cannot overemphasize the importance of meters, and that's actually why we exist as a company, right? Mojek has set itself to provide meters to end users.
Most of these customers are delighted to have their meters, their prepaid meters, because yes, they can now manage their energy. They can decide on what they want to consume per month. There's this level of trust. They know they are paying for what they are consuming. So for that, because if my customer is satisfied, then I am satisfied. So with that, my customer is happy and I'm delighted.
The telecommunications sector in Nigeria, which has been one of the major contributors to the country's revenue over the years, is gradually reflecting not so bright indicators in the gross domestic product GDP growth trend. According to a report by AfriInvest Research, the GDP performance of the sector shrunk as it grew 7.3% year-on-year. On a quarterly basis, it was observed that telecoms GDP grew 7.7% in Q1, 5.9% in Q2, 10.9% in Q3, and 5.3% in Q4 of 2021. Notably, the GDP growth rate in Q4 2021 was the slowest in 14 quarters since Q1 2018. Despite the unimpressive record, the telecom sector remained resilient as its growth pace continued to outperform the broader economy. The report also shows that Nigeria's telecommunications sector recorded a GDP growth rate of 7.69%, the slowest since the first quarter of 2018, when it grew at just 1.88%. But the stock market sustained positive trades as investors renewed interest in equities of companies, Effiong Ekop reports.
Securities trading has remained with positive numbers following increased stock picks by fund managers. Huge trade support for Academy Press saw it netting gains by 10%. The gaining streak also helped the stocks of Champion Berries, Mayor Paint, Nibeth Pharmaceuticals, and eTransact. The trade index grew by 0.02%, bringing over 6 billion naira into the markets. Multiverse, International Berries, Cadbury, Japan Gold, and Honeyflower dropped prices and values due to losses. Over 400 million units of shares worth 7 billion naira were traded across market subsectors. Effiong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, Asian shares bounced up today after a late revival on Wall Street, though global growth fares stoked by China's strict COVID-19 curbs, an aggressive expected streak of aggressive Federal Reserve tightening sapped risk appetites. Now, MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan ticked up 1.1%, helped by Chinese blue chip index adding 1.4% after its worst day in 2 years on Monday. Hong Kong's benchmark Hang Seng index bounced 1.9%. The tech sector rallied 5.3%, boosted by mega firms such as Tencent Holdings and Alibaba Group. News that Elon Musk, the world's richest man, had clinched a deal to buy Twitter for $44 billion. Cash also underpinned sentiments that the nervousness about China's economic slowdown, however, hit Australian shares with a local benchmark down 2% by early afternoon, hurt particularly by declines in miners. Japan's nickel stock index spread earlier gains and was down 0.04% by early afternoon. U.S. stock futures were little changed in Asian trade. And oil prices on international market bounced today, steadying after a sharp fall of 4% in the previous session. As worries over China's fuel demand were soothed by China's central bank's pledge to support an economy hit by renewed COVID-19 curbs. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price increase of 0.54% to hit $99.07 per barrel. Brent sells at $103.10, registering an upward price margin of 0.76%. Bonny Light's performance has lost some steam, recording 6.46% drop in price to sell at $99.78 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $107.70 with a price decline of 1.06%. That's business. We'll take a break and next will be sports.